Hello and welcome to Solving Equations Part 2. And this first question, we've got a fairly simple question. We want to work out what x equals. That's the end goal. What is x? Now to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the brackets. So if I expand this 3 out, I'll get 3 times 4x, which is 12x. And I'll get 3 times positive 2, which is positive 6. Keep the equal sign there, and I'm going to expand the right hand side just like I did just before. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times minus 1 is negative 2. Now we've got a very simple solving equations question now, just like we had in part 1. First thing we need to do is bring all the x's onto one side, right? Because we've got a 12x here and a 2x here, and bring all the numbers onto one side. Now, what's easier to bring? It looks like this 2x we should bring to this side, right? So let's get rid of the 2x from this side. How do you get rid of this 2x? Or what's the opposite of positive 2x? It's negative 2x. So I'm going to take away 2x from both sides. Okay. And if we do that, this 2x has gone now, and I'm just left with the minus 2. And we had 12x on this side, but we just minus 2x from it, and you're left with 10x. And of course this plus 6 stays the same because the minus 2x doesn't affect the 6. And how do you solve this now? Well, we've got all the x's onto one side. We just need to bring this plus 6 and get rid of it, basically. Bring it to that side. Well, what's the opposite of plus 6? Minus 6. So I'm going to do minus 6 to both sides. Now that plus 6 has vanished, I'm left with 10x, and that's equal to minus 2 minus 6, which is just minus 8. Finally, to get x by itself, we need to get rid of this 10. How do you get rid of 10? Well, how do you get rid of times 10? You do the opposite, which is divide by 10, because this 10 is times in x right now. Okay, so we're going to divide both sides by 10. The 10 is gone. I'm left with x equals minus 8 divided by 10. You can literally write minus 8 over 10, because over 10 just means divide by 10. And then you can simplify that if you like. Both of them can be divided by 2, and you're left with minus 4 over 5. So x equals minus 4 over 5. Let's go to the next question. Again, a very similar question. Let's do the same thing. We're going to expand the left hand side. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times minus 2x is minus 4x. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times minus 4x is minus 16x. Now what we're going to do, we're going to bring all the x's onto one side and bring everything else to the other side. Now here it looks a bit different because both x's are minus. Now there's a few ways to do it. What I would do is bring the more negative x to the other side. So what's the opposite of minus 16? The opposite of minus 16 is plus 16. So I'm going to plus 16x to both sides. That goes away. I'm just left with positive 16. And we had minus 4x on this side. That's what we had. But now we're plusing 16x. So you just need to think to yourself, well, what's minus 4x plus 16x, right? Which you can do in your head, but if you are struggling, you can kind of do it on the side, but you will end up with positive 12x. Okay, so we're going to write positive 12x, and that 6 stays the same. You leave that as 6. So can you see we brought all the x's onto one side? We just need to get rid of this positive 6. Well, what's the opposite of positive 6? It's negative 6. So I'm going to minus 6x to both sides. This 6 is gone. I'm left with 12x. What's that equal to? Well, what's 16 minus 6? That's just 10. 12x equals 10. How do you get rid of the 12? Because can you see, we nearly got x by itself. We just need to get rid of the 12. Well, this means 12x just means 12 times x. What's the opposite of timesing by 12? It's dividing by 12. So I'm going to divide both sides by 12. That 12 is gone. I'm just left with x. And now I got 10 divided by 12, which is just 10 over 12. And again, you can simplify if you like. You're left with 5 over 6. And let's go to the next question. Here we've got a new style of question. Okay, a new style. We've got 2x plus 3 all over 5 equals 4. So the main problem here is, well, we want to get x by itself, but there's a few things happening to it. We've got this, we've got this 2 in front of it. We've got this plus 3 next to it, and we've also got this 5 underneath it. So we need to get rid of all of them. Yeah, and just get x by itself. So the first thing I'm going to get rid of is this 5. Okay. If you ever see a fraction, try to get rid of the bottom bit first, the denominator. So what is the opposite of dividing by 5? Because over 5 just means dividing by 5. The opposite is timesing by 5. So to get rid of over 5, you have to times both sides by 5. So 2x plus 3 all over 5 times by 5. What was the whole point of that? To get rid of this. And we're just left with 2x plus 3 from the top. What's that equal to? 4 times 5 is just 20. Now can you see it's really back to basics now. Something so easy that you can do. We have to just get rid of the 2 and the 3. So easiest thing to get rid of is the 3. How do you get rid of plus 3? You do the opposite, which is minus 3. So that's gone. I'm left with 2x equals 20 minus 3, 17. Finally, how do you get rid of timesing by 2? 2x means timesing by 2. You divide by 2. Okay? Both sides, by the way. Always remember, you have to do it to both sides. So that 2 is gone. I'm left with x equals 17 divided by 2. Finish. You can leave your answer like that. Okay? Let's try one more. Same question, same type of question. How do you get rid of dividing by 3? We've got a few, let's just recap actually. We've got a few things going on here. There's 2, there's 6, and there's 3. So we need to get rid of all of them. First thing we're going to get rid of is this dividing by 3. What is the opposite of dividing by 3? Timesing by 3. So I'm going to times both sides by 3. That goes away. Remember, that was the whole point of timesing by 3, was to get rid of the over 3. And I'm left with the 2 plus 6y. Now, what is that equal to? Here is a bit different because we had 2 things on this side. That's fine. Just times both of them by 3. Okay? 6 times 3 is 18. Y times 3 is positive 3y. Can you see that? So we timesed both of them by 3. And if there was 3 things on that side, we times all of them by 3. And now we're back to normal. What do we have to do now? Bring all the y's to one side. So we've got a smaller y here. I'm going to get rid of that 3y by doing the opposite. I'm going to minus 3y from both sides. So this is gone. I'm left with the 18 by itself. And we had 6y. Now we're minusing 3y. So I'm left with positive 3y. 6y minus 3y is 3y. And we still got the 2. Now, how do we get rid of this 2? What is the opposite of 2? Negative 2. I'm going to minus 2 from both sides. This is gone. I'm left with 3y equals 18 minus 2, 16. 3y equals 16. How do you get rid of the 3 in front of the y? You divide both sides by 3. So that 3 is gone. I'm left with y equals 16 divided by 3. Now here we've got a new type of question. We've got 2 fractions on the left hand side. Now, when you have 2 fractions or 3 fractions on the left hand side, what you're going to do is you're going to make the bottoms the same. That's the first thing you need to do. Now you need to think, okay, what number goes into 2 and 3? What is in the 2 times table and the 3 times table? You're going to realize the easiest number is 6. The smallest number is 6. So I'm going to make them both over 6. So now you just need to think to yourself, how do you go from 2 to 6? How did we go from 2 to 6? You just times by 3. 2 times 3 equals 6. So I'm going to do the same with the top. I'm going to do the top times 3. 3x times 3 is just 9x. Okay, so we turned 3x over 2 into 9x over 6. We're going to do the same thing here. How do we go from 3 to 6? You just times by 2. So I want to do the same with the top. I'm going to do 5x times 2, which is just 10x. Okay, and the plus stays the same. Now this is much more simpler, because once we've made the bottoms the same, we can do this. All over 6. Because when 2 fractions have the same denominator, you can add the tops. So let's keep simplifying. What is 9x plus 10x? That's just 19x over 6 equals 1. And now you can probably guess what we're going to do next. Just get rid of this 6. What's the opposite of dividing by 6? Timesing by 6. Remember, both sides. So this is gone. 19x equals 6. How do you get rid of the 19 finally? You divide both sides by 19. So that's gone. X equals 6 over 19. Finished. So let's try one more example. Very similar example. What we're going to do, we're going to make the bottoms the same. Okay, what number goes into 2 and 4? Luckily, both of them go into 4. Okay, very easy, nice number. So I'm going to write both of them over 4. How do we go from 2 to 4? You just times by 2, right? That's all we did. So I'm going to times the top by 2 as well. Now be careful, because when you times the top by 2, there are 2 things you need to times by 2. 2x times 2 is 4x. And positive 3 times 2 is positive 6. Okay? Luckily, the second fraction was already over 4, so I don't need to do anything to the top of that fraction. Keep that the same. Equals 10. Also keep the same. Now, we made the bottoms the same, so what do? Bring it all over one fraction. and just add the tops. And carry on simplifying by adding the tops, collecting the like terms. 4x plus x is just 5x, plus 6 plus 1 is plus 7, all over 4, and that's equal to 10. Okay, and then back to basics. How do we get rid of divide by 4? You times both sides by 4. So that goes away. We're left with 5x plus 7, and that's equal to 10 times 4, which is 40. We need to get rid of this plus 7. How do we do that? You minus 7 from both sides. So the plus 7 is gone now. I'm just left with 5x equals 40 minus 7 would be 33. Finally, how do you get rid of the 5 in 5x? You do the opposite of timesing by 5, which is dividing by 5 to both sides. And we're left with x by itself, which is equal to 33 divided by 5. And there we have it.